Hey guys, Kamen of the review. This time I'll be reading the deluxe Blizzard Sorbet Gochizo from Kamen Gavv. This is a special Gochizo that Kamen Gavv can use to obtain his next power-up form. So, let's get started. First up, we'll take a look at the Blizzard Sorbet Gochizo on its own. So here we have it, where we can see it's a little bit of a different type of Gochizo than what we've seen before. Obviously, it's a lot bigger than a Gochizo, but instead of looking like a snack and meat packaging similar to the K-King's Gochizo, it looks like the actual snack itself. In this case, a scoop of sorbet on a cone. Let's start from the top part with the sorbet itself. This has got this nice blue color with a kind of white looking vanilla swirl into it, and similar to with the Vice stamps from Kamen Vice, the marbling is going to be different for every version of this. See, it's got a couple of like little nubs that kind of look like horns. Got this gem in the forehead. You've got the eyes, which kind of look like ice crystals. You have the mouth here with little uvula, and the tongue, which has got some glitter in it, as well as teeny tiny little hands attached to its arms. And what's actually clever about this is, if you can look in here, you see they actually decided to put the speaker into the mouth of it. Coming into the back, we've got the rear here, and the battery coming up here, and it just takes, or rather it includes batteries, so you just have to pull out the tab. See, the bottom part does look like a cake cone, and so this is actually, pretty accurate to the size of an actual scoop of ice cream, which is a nice touch. You got this label here. It says Blizzard Sorbet with an I at the end, and see, I'm ignoring that and trying to use the actual spelling of sorbet, which is a T at the end. It's a little bit of a weird oddity, but it may have something to do with like a little bit of a pun. But me personally, I'm just choosing to use the actual spelling of this type of ice cream. Then we have the actual cone itself, a nice brown color, with that classic pattern you see on ice cream cones. It also has a little bit of a swirling effect to it, which is pretty neat. Now on its own, it's got a set of sounds that are activated by pressing the button on the forehead. Now we actually have to wait for the next ones. And this is kind of weird, because it doesn't matter how many times you press it, or even pressing holding it, it'll just do a sequence. And it's kind of weird that they couldn't have it be so that you'd press the button and then you get those sounds in continuous order, but that's just how they made it. Next, we'll bring in the Gavv belt for the transformation. And then we got a transformation into Kamen Gavv, Blizzard Sorbet form, with the phrase at the end being Hia Hia or Chili. So here we can now see the open up form of the Gochizo, where it's got this little face, kind of monster face in the center, with a little gem on the forehead, as well as the cone split up into three parts, each with some nice clear glitter laden parts, as well as this nice pattern on each of them. And this is definitely a pretty clever way of doing the transformation, because essentially, instead of the Gavv belt chewing on whatever snack it is, instead it just fits the whole actual edible part of or the first part you put of the sorbet into its mouth, and you can hear that instead of a chewing sound, it actually has a licking sound. Of course, it's not a transmission. You just open it up. You want to close these back in, and then remove it. However, if you take a look at the back, you can see that it doesn't look like to be any sort of button that would be hit by the Gavv belt. And indeed, if we, for example, switch off the Gavv belt, and then put in the Gochizo, nothing happens. Meaning that in order to activate this, you absolutely need to have something like the Gavv belt or Blizzard Goo belt, as essentially it's activated by sending an electrical signal through the contacts to the Gochizo, which is actually something definitely pretty cool. So off, no sounds, but when it's on, it does make sounds. And so after transmission, there are a few things you can do. First of all, we have the standard finisher attack by turning the crank and then pressing the button. Which is the ice break. Now there's another gimmick involving the fact that these three panels of the Gochizo can actually be spun. So you get some ice sounds. And while normally cycles between those two sounds, there is a third sound you can get at random. Where it'll say Atari or winner. And this is a reference to something that goes on with Japanese popsicles or ice treats on a stick, where occasionally you'll get a stick that's a winner, and for kids that means that they get a prize, which is either like a free popsicle or some kind of a little toy, which is a neat little reference to the actual snack culture of Japan. And then the final sound you get is when you get by spinning it 4 more times and then pressing the button. And then we get the ice illusion attack. And there we go. Overall, this is definitely a pretty cool Gochizo, no pun intended. It is nice to see us getting into some of the bigger power-ups now, the ones that have their own electronics. And indeed, with this one, is a case where this basically overrides any electronics from the Gavv belt, so essentially it would do the same thing if you use it in the Blizzard Goo belt, so I'm not going to show off in this video, but it still is pretty cool. Plus it is also interesting to see that the power-up Gochizos actually have a little bit more sentience and actually can, to some degree, actually talk. Got some nice sounds out of it, as well as a pretty cool gimmick. Although, one thing I will say about this is This almost feels like they borrowed an idea from many years ago with the food droid Softonia from Kamen Rider Forze, which, if you guys remember, was a soft serve ice cream, and that one has a similar thing where it would open up into 3 pieces with a face inside. The only big difference in that case is that for this one it's the cone that opens up, but with the other one it was the actual ice cream. Plus that one also had a spin gimmick as well to it, so just kind of interesting that someone kind of looked back at that one as a possible inspiration for this power form many years later. But that said, if you have a Gavv belt, I definitely recommend picking this up. And I would still only recommend picking this up if you have a Gavv belt, because, as I demonstrated, they basically made it so that you can't hack this and make use of sounds on its own. You very much have to put it within a belt to get the sounds. But that's fine, that is their right to do. Still, definitely a cool toy to pick up. Next time I'll be reviewing the Rider Gochizo special set, as well as the Legend Rider Gochizo set 03. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KS50, writing off.